Eine große Bedeutung, diese Sprache auch.
Yes, the term wording stands for the language of our souls, and therefore it may not sound too familiar to our intellectual understanding when we talk of the norms of the Creator or the Creator's ethalon. However, the soul will understand this immediately. Even small children who cannot perform any consciousness work at all will understand this language. If you tell them, for instance, I learn without entering in foreign events, which is a highly important key phrase, their souls will understand this in any case. And we are using this wording, and I would like to add that never before has there been such an exact explanation of the structure and the parts of the soul. That's why it is called the new knowledge for the new time. And we use this success in order to get to an area, in wording terms it's called the area of archiving. It may sound a little technical or bureaucratic, but it is a fantastic area. It is the area where all knowledge has been stored, all knowledge about us, about previous lives, about our physical body, and most of all, and this is the access we use, all knowledge about the moment when everything was still in good order. An example, when a state of perfect health existed. And from there, we also control health impairments out of norm.
So you do not only have the possibility, I should not say only, to even make organs regrow or regenerate organs that were taken out in an operation. People say, well, now having had so and so many appendicitis attack, I'm quite happy that this thing has gone. Yet this is not quite right. Also current health impairments can be brought back to norm in this way of mental control.
Wieder in die Norm gebracht werden können.
Exactly. There are no limits. Arkady Petrov has written this down. There is no disease that cannot be cured. There is none. And this is based on 20 years of research. And in principle, research had already concluded and was more or less documented 10 years ago. Nevertheless, development continues, and we are having recent results here. Real current results. And many of them are results on the methods of how to make our organs regrow. And as I have previously said, the crucial point is that the information of an organ will remain at the very place from where this organ has been removed. The information is present in the so-called field anyway. In the meantime, even medical doctors argue on why the organ has been taken out at all. Scientists say that nothing, absolutely nothing, is obsolete in our bodies. And it is to be asked whether operations really need to be undertaken that quickly. If an organ is taken out, the effect in any case will be that a gap will be left behind. And this now empty space contracts, leading to disharmony. And disharmony spreads and spreads, since we are all linked to each other. In order to reinstate harmony, we are literally obliged to regenerate each organ. That is to say, everything which is no longer present, no matter whether it's a liver, a kidney, gallbladder, tonsils, which are very important, or the appendix. Many doctors say that the appendix is not that important. What do we need it for? According to these scientists, it is extremely important, just like any other part in the body. What the appendix does is send an impulse to the right brain hemisphere, which again sends an impulse to the left half. So the appendix does no less than to synchronize the two brain halves, which we have recognized to be of genius. When we look at small children, who may well have the so-called supra-consciousness before they enter school, they can easily learn 8 foreign languages at a time. And this is because the two brain halves work in a synchronized and homogeneous way. So this is why we have an appendix. Consequently, those who regenerate their appendix will, for instance, find that their learning abilities will increase enormously.
We should also once again say that all these events have been documented in some way or another. It was found out and documented that before the control took place, the appendix had been taken out, and after a certain time, which can be weeks or even months, but in any case it will be after a reasonable period of time, all of a sudden there was proof given by ultrasonic and X-rays that this organ was there again.
Of course, a flawless documentation is a mandatory basis, and currently I'm working on that. In the first German seminar, which was a 7-day practical seminar in Thailand, there were also 2 participants whose appendices had surgically been removed. One participant suffered from the operation 17 years ago, and during the seminar she had given the impulse for regeneration. Then she said, "I'm just waiting for the ultrasonic now." And it was already in February that the regeneration was complete. She had that all documented and tested, and it has not even taken 9 weeks until the appendix had fully regrown.
Bis der Blinddarm vollständig wieder nachgewachsen war.
Du machst solche...
When you do these controls, you do them either because to achieve a result for yourself by means of harmonizing your own personal and, as you have already indicated, the complete environment. But you can also do control for others.
stattfindet. Du kannst aber solche Lenkungen auch für andere machen.
Yes, of course. You cannot only help yourself but also others. And that is often required. An example, when you see a road accident with a victim, then there is no doubt that I will help and intervene. However, the situation is different when the method is to be used similarly to other methods that healers apply, who would say, "I am healing all the sick and handicapped." That is not how it is supposed to be used. Of course, it would be possible, but it is not meant to be like this, as this teaching and harmonization of the world suggests that each individual is contributing towards it. This implies the complete acceptance of self-responsibility. Once Grigori Grabovoi said, "Don't let anybody heal your body." That means do it yourself. I can give the instruction. It is help to help oneself. And this concept of self-help is very cleverly chosen. For the more a person regenerates, the more will he or she create the important harmonization of his or her environment.
So this is the clue. Nowadays we know about and learn from the results of quantum physics, which enters even more in common consciousness. We are aware that things are linked to each other. People are linked to each other. Having said that, the new knowledge is not an appeal for egoism, but it states that if I do something for myself, I also do something for others and mankind as such.
Exactly. It means doing something for oneself and others. It is the objective of all this work and research to obtain the eternal freedom and independence of each individual that we are constantly looking and longing for. And yet, they have been given to us by creation.
Now these 3 scientists and also those who are working, teaching and doing further research on these subjects go far beyond health issues. You had already mentioned the key word, "I do not enter into foreign events," one of the terms students will learn with you. It becomes clear that I can correct and influence events and certain things I wish or imagine or would like to correct, with references to events which having happened in the past.
Korrigieren kann, dass ich auch das beeinflussen kann.
Ja, du hast recht. Es geht also sehr weit, wenn es nur im Tüdelchen die Gesundheit.
Yes, you are right. It takes us very far. I think if this was only related to health, it would just be the halfway through. Indeed, it is all about controlling really everything with your consciousness, each for his own, using his own consciousness, which means controlling any form of regeneration or events. Without being aware of it, we are often affected by the collective consciousness, by TV and bad news every day, by newspaper, radio and so on, even by the family and by our narrower acquaintances. And this collective consciousness does not always help us to improve, quite the contrary. Often it is even an obstacle and presses on our physical body. And the events that do not lead necessarily to harmonization of this world either can be changed by me. That is, I can even weaken global disasters. And this is what it was designed for. If we want to harmonize and rescue this world and include all mankind living thereon, then tools are requested that are strong enough to palliate or transform disaster and events of any kind, no matter whether within the family or of global extent. Unlike those motivation gurus who formerly always stated, just think positive and delete everything else, we are carrying out a transformation process. In example, we are transforming negative into positive. We are transforming a health impairment towards health, which is a complete transformation.
Es geht Umwandlung, negativ in positiv. Das heißt, eine Transformation vom, auch von der Gesundheitsbeeinträchtigung in Richtung Gesundheit. Eine komplette Umwandlung.
But it is also true that I can pull myself out of chains and events or events in the past which one would like to leave behind, as they have led to either certain blockages in our health or also to blockages in the job or within the family. I mean, disharmony within the family or in professional life or whatever. So if I may say so, I can press a reset button, thus changing also events in the past.
Fast drücken kann und auf die Art und Weise auch Ereignisse in der Vergangenheit ändern kann.
Yes, actually it is more than just a reset button. You have just mentioned it. I can even change the past, which is difficult to understand from our view of the third dimension. However, if we imagine we climb a few floors higher from where we still are, we are soul, and the soul is limitless. It expands up to the remotest corner of the universe. There is no limitation. There is from our perspective, but from the higher dimension situated above time, this time no longer exists. There we only find states, namely the states of infinity, which we here always symbolize with a horizontal 8. We could associate this state with the past, and there is the state of eternity, symbolized by an upright 8. We can associate it with future. We can grasp both states with our consciousness. And we can use the state of infinity by going back to the 1 hour before the trigger of an event we could like to change or to a health impairment we would like to regenerate, no matter when it was. We are not talking about the content, but about the context, the general coherence. We go to 1 hour before, no matter what nor when the trigger was, simply decide not to have walked on this path, not to have